I'll never forget that morning. It wasn't my alarm that jolted me awake, it was the deafening growl of heavy machinery right outside my mom's window. I bolted out of bed, yanked on my jeans, and rushed to the front yard of her little ranch-style house on Oakwood Drive. By the time I got there, the bulldozers were already tearing into the foundation. Chunks of siding flew like confetti, and dust choked the air. My mom, Margaret Thompson, stood there in her robe, hugging a faded quilt her late husband had made, watching decades of her life get crushed under those metal tracks. The HOA president, Rebecca Hayes, stood off to the side with her arms folded, a smug grin plastered on her face as she yelled to the crew, "Push through. We've got a community center expansion to finish." She had no idea that in less than a day, she'd be facing me in court, explaining how her power trip justified wiping out a family's legacy. This isn't just about a house site, it's about fighting back when bullies in khakis think they own your world. Our suburb in Willowbrook wasn't always a war zone. It was the kind of Midwestern neighborhood where kids rode bikes until the streetlights came on and folks swapped recipes over backyard fences. Mom's place was at the end of the block, a cozy split level with a wraparound porch where she'd sip iced tea and wave at joggers. The paint was a bit chipped, the shutters a tad crooked from years of harsh winters, but it had that warm, lived-in charm you can't buy at Home Depot. Then came the HOA, Willowbrook Estates, self-proclaimed guardians of curb appeal. They started as rule enforcers mow your lawn. No holiday lights past January, but morphed into a clique of busybodies. Rebecca, with her perfectly coiffed hair and pearl earrings, ran it like a corporate boardroom. Her sidekicks, Mark the accountant, who treated fines like his personal ATM, Susan, the design snob who measured everything with a laser level, and Karen, the newsletter queen who bombarded inboxes with friendly reminders that felt like threats. Their big dream was Willowbrook Forward, a slick pamphlet promising pickleball courts, EV charging stations, and get Thiessen expanded lot for overflow parking near the clubhouse. The blueprint marked 3 older homes for relocation, including Mom's, shaded in gray like they were already ghosts. At first, it was subtle, a flyer about upgrading for the future. Mom laughed it off while baking her famous apple pie. "They'll find another spot for their fancy cars," she said, her voice steady from years as a schoolteacher. But these folks didn't do subtle for long. Citations started piling up like junk mail. Faded mailbox? Fine. Weeds in the flower bed? Fine. Even her birdhouse got dinged for non-standard height. Susan showed up with her tape measure, snapping photos like a paparazzo. I hit the next HOA meeting, held in a clubhouse that smelled like stale donuts and desperation. Rebecca presided from a folding table, banging a coffee mug like a gavel. "My mom's 85, I said, standing tall. "She's lived here since Dad built the place. Can't we talk about exemptions?" Rebecca flashed her veneered smile. "Rules apply to everyone, David. Equity builds value." Murmurs rippled through the room. An old vet in the back piped up about his wheelchair ramp getting flagged. Rebecca shut him down. "We have standards." After, I overheard Mark whispering about extra spots if we clear the holdouts. It hit Methy weren't building community. They were empire building. I tried diplomacy, dropping by Rebecca's McMansion with coffee. She served it in mugs, saying live, love, lawn care. "Why Mom's lot?" I asked. "Prime location," she replied, eyes cold. "Fire codes demand more parking." Turns out, her brother owned the paving company. Conflict? She waved it off. All disclosed. Yeah, right? The harassment ramped up. Warning for Mom's porch swing. Swaying too low. Citation for her welcome mats, faded hue. Karen emailed at midnight. Confirm compliance or face escalation. Neighbors confided in me fines for kids' chalk art. Threats over unapproved fence paint. It was maddening, a slow boil of petty tyranny that made your blood pressure spike. One guy sold his house just to escape the fees. "They broke me," he admitted. "I sent a formal letter citing fair housing laws for seniors." Denied. Then came the improvement notice demolition in 2 weeks, her spot circled like a target. No city permits, just their rubber stamp. That night, Mom polished her door knocker out of habit, her hands shaking. "What now?" she asked. I hugged her. "We fight smart." The machines came at dawn. Mom froze on the lawn as the dozer ripped through her hydrangeas. I yelled, "Stop. This is illegal." Rebecca smirked. Permits are filed. Progress marches on. Neighbors watched, some horrified, some nodding like it was overdue. The porch crumpled, photos shattered, Dad's old toolbox buried in debris. Mom sobbed as I pulled her back. My wedding album. Dust stung my eyes. Rage burned my throat. They flattened it all, leaving a dirt patch with a sign, "Future parking courtesy of Willowbrook HOA." I salvaged what I could: Dad's purple heart, Grandma's quilt. Mom whispered, "Where do I go?" I promised, "Somewhere safe." But inside, fury forged my plan. They didn't know I wasn't just David the neighbor. I was Judge David Thompson, presiding over county court. I kept it quiet for privacy, but now, game on. I dug into records. Fake signatures from a retired inspector, funds funneled to Rebecca's brother's firm, emails plotting clearance. Kickbacks galore. I filed an injunction overnight. Court the next day. Rebecca's crew strutted in, expecting a slap on the wrist. Then they saw me on the bench. Rebecca blanched. "You?" I banged the gavel. Court in session. Evidence poured out: forged docs, shady transfers, witness tales of bullying. A mom testified about fines crippling her family. The vet on his ramp. They called it an eyesore. Rebecca stammered. "For the greater good," I thundered. "Not at the cost of rights." Guilty on all counts: fraud, destruction, abuse. $750,000 fine to the victims. Board dissolved. Rebecca and Mark facing charges. Probation for Susan and Karen. The gallery exploded in cheers. Mom's eyes shone with pride. Weeks later, neighbors rallied. GoFundMe hit 6 figures. Vets built ramps, kids planted flowers. Mom's new home rose sturdy with the old knocker. At the ribbon cutting, we grilled burgers, laughed freely. The lot? Now a community garden, no parking in sight.